Think about what you did.
Nobody makes it to the end of these things. Come on.
The Broken Agenda Podcast. Sponsored by Laughing Rock Technology.
It's like you've reached a fork in the road. I mean, you either go the right way or the wrong way.
That's right. As Yogi Berra said, if you reach a fork in the road, take it. I think that was Yogi Berra. I don't know who said that, but it was still funny. Oh my God, my daughter said
like
something.
Yogi and Boo Boo or
My daughter said
Yogi
something
Berra?
hysterical yesterday. Hold on, and we'll get into the topic in a second. But they were going to go into my office, her and a friend, and Sonia's like, we can't go in there. And her friend was like, we can go, it's just a room. We can just go in there. And she's like, nah, it's my dad's office. I'm not allowed to go in there. And the kid goes, what are you so worried about? What's he going to do? And she goes, I don't know what he's going to do, but I know he'll do it. And I was listening to them talk from the other room, just seeing how this would play out. And when she said that, snot almost came out of my nose. I laughed so hard. I was like, that is the greatest line I've ever heard from a 9-year-old. I don't know what he's going to do, but I know he'll do it.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is, he's going to do it.
And I don't want it.
All right. So what are we talking about today, gentlemen? We're talking about crypto again, right?
Sounds that way.
And I know me personally, I know Jimmy's going to bring a lot of value to the table on this one for a change. But I really wanted to talk about the crash. So we're in the midst of a heavy. I don't know when you're watching this, so I'm just going to tell you we're in the June 2022 crypto crash. You pulling up the chart?
Pull up a chart of Bitcoin, yeah.
Oh, you know Coinbase, huh?
Go to Team Viewer.
Probably
Or I mean, not Team Viewer.
Yeah,
Go
Coinbase
to
isn't really a great one to go to.
go to
Just go to crypto.com. Isn't that
stock tradingview.com.
Oh, TradingView's a good one. We're just all over the place here. Well, I mean, it's dropped. I think it bottomed out well over 50% drop
charts
in the last, about a month, Jimmy? And it was this year that it was over 60,000. And we're down around
64.
20 right now. So, oh, look at that. Oh, that
So,
is.
what is this?
What's your time
So
frame?
this is
You said at a day up top.
That's
at
for the
D.
year. So you got December 15th on there. Okay, so that's about 6 months.
yeah.
If
All
you
right.
go up to the top, Tyler, right where BTC is, the blue BTC, yep, and slide over to the D, that's your different. That's the day view. So you can do a week view.
Well, let's take a look at this first, and then we'll flip over to like the month and the week. So this is in the last 6 months. This is a very telling graph right here. So we've gone from basically 65,000, a little bit over 65,000,
Yep.
down to we dropped below 20 at one point. We were down around 19.
I saw 17 this
Oh
week.
yeah, it hits. Yeah, it got pretty low. So we've got a lot of crypto investors out there that are freaking out right now. And so we figured it'd be a great opportunity to talk about it. Now, if you flip over to the 1 month view, Tyler. Yeah, just go to the last 30 days. Yeah, 1 month. So here's what we're seeing in the last month. Oh, come on. That's Bush League. You're going to crunch it all over to the right. You sure that's a 1 month? Yeah, slide it over. Yeah, here we go. This is the good stuff.
Yeah, it said that's looking at it monthly.
No, we don't want to look at it. Jimmy, you gave us bad advice.
Yeah, this is where we want to be. This is
No, I said weekly. Craig said monthly.
Oh, did I do that? I apologize.
But that's okay. I'll take the heat.
I don't understand what this.
All right, regardless, I mean, you can probably just search.
What do you want to do?
We want to look at the price trend over the last month.
So this is the last.
Okay,
month
so just
here.
go to all.
This is a 30-minute
At the bottom,
intervals.
go down to the bottom and go to all.
Oh, there it is.
Okay. Go to all, and now go up to the top where I showed you where the D's at, and
Wait,
go
why can't you just hit 1 month?
and go week.
Just
Well,
just hit that. It's right down there. It's next to 5 day.
it's because that's going to show you a
Say
month
and then we
on.
can change this to.
Yeah, perfect. We got it right there. That's a month. Every 30 minutes.
Weeks. Oh, that's by weeks.
You just killed it by weeks.
I did.
Put it back to 30 minutes.
30
There you
minutes
go.
is
Every 30 minutes. There we go. That's going back a month. So, as you can see, everything was happy. Everything was happy. Everything was happy. Wheels come off. So let's talk about it, Jimmy. Why? Why did the wheels come off? Do you have a theory
Well-
on this? Do you have any insider information?
Well, I just like I said over the years. I mean, I've studied the algorithm, and it's just following the ladder. And 64 was a top off of like once it breaks through the mid point of 50, it goes down and resets. And so these are at.
In Jimmy's defense, I want to be very clear here. When it was up around 60, he said it's going to drop to about 19, based on his analysis, his ladder approach that he uses. And he said it will hit about 19 at some point. He doesn't know the time frame, but he said, yeah, it should go down to 19. It may not, but it should. He pretty much called this, God, what, a year ago? I think you started saying that, like 19's the drop-off point.
Well, it was, when it would have been back in January, February. That's when
Early
we
this
peaked
year.
out, right?
You're
So
right.
we're like,
And he called 19, and it stopped at about 19. He hit it on the button. I didn't sell. I am buying now, but I didn't sell. But Jimmy's approach to analysis seems to be right. Now, yours is a stock approach, right? And you've been applying to Bitcoin.
I think what I gather, just basically over the years that I've studied this and studied, the information that I was taught, is I learned that there's an algorithm and the numbers across this, I call it what's called a ladder, they just repeat. And once, like every bear market tops off at this same area and then bottoms out and restarts. And every stock price, like you will see, like if I, we're not going to get into all the numbers and everything, but if I start to talk about numbers, I can show you how these patterns repeat over and over. And so what I think has just happened, I think we've just cleared, we've exited out of that ladder, and everything has. So it's across the board. It's stocks, and it's every stocks, it's indexes, it's mutual funds, it's everything. It exited out of that to that point, to that plateau where it drops and then comes back down and resets.
Now, do you think the stock market has also bottomed out on the ladder?
There's just different things, like the stock market is not bottomed out.
Okay, I didn't think, okay.
So I'm like, if you look at tech stocks, some of the tech stocks are up still pretty high. And Bitcoin, actually the altcoins have sort of bottomed on the ladder, but Bitcoin is sort of in the middle. So it's not that everything is sort of floating at the same exact location. But actually I looked at gold, and it looks like gold is about to bust through. Gold has a setup right now that looks very...
You think it could get 3,000?
If it plunges up, would go to about 5,400.
5,400?
If it follows the ladder, 4,400 is like it's
44 a troy ounce.
44 is the plateau.
Jeez, buy some gold.
Don't do it based on what I'm saying, but I'm just saying.
And I want to be very clear. I say this every time we talk about crypto. We are not giving financial advice. Do not make any decisions based on this podcast. Do your own research. Be your own person. Thank you. Go ahead. Sorry.
Where the ladder's at, if you look at gold, and you look at the price of gold, we're like somewhere, it's about to bust through 2,000, I think.
Yeah, it's about 1,800 right now.
So,
can you look up gold real quick, Tyler?
Yeah.
So the way this works, I'll say what it will potentially do, and we'll see what happens.
Now, gold's been sitting at about 1,800 to 2,000 for the last year. It's been, I think, again, got up about as high as 2,200 at one point. But it's really kind of, there's been a lot of predictions on gold. I find it hard to believe that gold won't spike with inflationary pressure. I mean, gold tends to be a classic hedge against inflation. But I think Bitcoin's stealing some of gold's clout.
I think so, and I would agree.
Money that would usually go into gold is going into Bitcoin. The other thing is, and I think this is worth talking about as well, and Jimmy and I had talked about this the other day, hit silver too, because I own a lot of physical silver. That's not doing nearly as well.
What's the time frame on those charts, Tyler?
1 year. So
Back out further. Back out to like max.
Go out to like 10 years.
Oh,
Yeah,
10
go out
years.
to
Go
like
out to 10 years. So
Silver.
yeah, we're up at we're close to historical highs right now. Gold looks like it's over historical.
So you see that that dip right there? I mean, that's like that cup and handle formation right there. See how that gully, that whole,
Which part?
and then
This part here.
the whole thing
the whole thing.
from
So
the
you've
first
you've got
high,
a ridge on the left, and then you got it rising back
Yeah.
up on the right.
from the first high to the second high, and then that tailoring off right there is kind of like, I'm not saying I use cup and handle, but it's semi looking like that. And then what's the high price on that right there?
It should be about 22 now. The high price.
That's
on
gold.
there
Oh,
is
we're
about
on gold again. Okay,
We're on
so
gold.
yeah, so gold right now. So
22.
22. So 22 is kind of.
Not even 22. I
It's
think it
2,000.
looks like it barely breached 2,000, then dropped back down.
Yeah. 2027.
Yeah, I don't know. Gold. It's
So the fact that it touched that high and it's dipped back down now, and that third time it comes up that high, that third time it hits that high is normally where these
that's the breakthrough.
explosions occur.
Well, so one thing worth mentioning here in the ladder, my understanding of the ladder theory is that if you follow the ladders, different things follow the ladder at different rates. So gold's traditionally on a very slow trajectory. It's slow to move, slow to fall, slow to rise. A lot of commodities tend to be pretty slow. Whereas, unless they're consumable commodities, then they tend to be faster because they move through the market faster. But gold's very much a buy hold even for governments, so it doesn't move as quickly. Cryptos, the established coins tend to move very slowly. The altcoins tend to move pretty quick, and stocks tend to move very quick. They tend to fly around like whipping through the ladders. Is that a pretty fair assessment, Jimmy?
Mm-hmm. So if gold's going to move slow, then gold's top would be about 32.
That seems more reasonable.
That would be like, so if it follows, if it's a longer rising ladder, 32 is a cap from 18 right now.
I find it hard to believe that gold is gonna top 5,000. I mean, considering historically we're at historical highs. I mean, it just seems, unless inflation's so bad that the buying power of the dollar drives it up.
Well, the big question now is that all the money's coming out of the market. It's coming out of crypto. It's about to come. It's coming out of the stock market. Where is it going?
Well, here's my thought. My thought is real estate's a crap show right now, and we're gonna have a real estate episode next week with a local real estate broker who's very knowledgeable, and we'll get into that more. But real estate, it's not a great place to put your money right now. Traditionally, that was a great haven for money. Buy some physical assets, sit on them, let them appreciate over time, and then, take your wins. But I don't see how, when the average price of a home, did you realize the average price of a single family home in the United States is over $400,000 for the first time in history? The average price. So that's insanity. Just 10 years ago, being able to afford a $400,000 home was damn near impossible for the vast majority of Americans.
Yeah.
Now it's the average cost, and wages have not climbed at that rate. So that's not good. So real estate becomes a bad investment. Stocks, I mean, I think anybody who's in the market agrees that we're heading into a recession. How long it lasts, I don't know. Whether it turns into a depression, I don't know. But we're definitely going to have some contraction here on the economy.
Here's the thing.
Stocks have got another 10 to 15% to drop, I think, off of where they're at now. I just don't see how this is their bottom. So the stock market's not a great place. So you're either gambling on, and you can't buy futures as a individual investor. That's something you just can't do. So where do you put your money? I mean, I don't understand why crypto's even dropping unless, like you said the other day, we're just pump and dumping. People were taking their gains at $40,000, $50,000, driving the price down, selling out, and they're planning to buy back in. Why have one coin at 40 when you can have two at 20? So the same money is circulating through the crypto market, but it's generating revenue for people that don't have any place else to put their money. Big ticket investors, I mean. They drive the price down, they buy back in, it goes back up, they sell their gains, they made a ton of money, and they still hold crypto. I think crypto's turning into a game.
So here's the thing that I've been thinking about lately. So I don't know how many people are following the market, and if you're aware of the Luna collapse and the Celsius collapse. So these were the Luna, the UST was pegged to the dollar. So that was supposed to be a stable coin, right? And ironically, on full moon, Luna was attacked, right? So here's what I think, and so like when they took Coinbase public. The company came out the valuation was $250,000 or $250 a share, right? They opened at $350. Okay. So it was already opened above price. I think the general public ran it up. The general public ran it up to about 42, which is a stopping point. 42, 44 is typically in the stock market. Once they hit 44, whether it's $44, $4,400,
and you say
$440,
$440.
$440.
Yes.
Once it hits that level just before the breakthrough of the 50 is typically when they'll come down. So then the reset from that midpoint
What's Coinbase?
becomes 4. or 40 in Coinbase's case,
Okay.
right? If a stock starts high and just plummet,
Just to be fair, I bought that at around 300.
so I just bought Coinbase at 47
Don't get weird.
at some 47. I just got some more. So if you scroll out to Coinbase from the look at the max.
Well, now's a great time to buy Coinbase because they theoretically look like they're in the toilet because of the price of crypto.
So you can see it opened at 350. It goes up. That chart doesn't look right. Are you on TradingView?
No, it's
Oh,
fine.
can I do? Yeah, I didn't. I
Go
thought
to
it was crypto.
TradingView.
All right, let's do that.
And so the plus sign over at the top on the right,
Right.
there's a plus sign.
Should have Jimmy around
On the
board.
chart.
Yeah.
Slide over to the right where all the
Keep going. Keep going.
down
Oh, here.
down there you go. Now right there at
What's Coinbase's
coin, I think it is. It's crazy. I know tickers.
Yeah, you do. Eradicated by the paywall.
What
All
is
right,
that?
it doesn't matter.
No, that's free. It shouldn't work. It should
No,
work.
I know. It's
I
but you
don't
don't
know.
want to do this on camera. So I get it though.
So, what was the main point now?
The main point here was the absolute stock price was around 400
All right. So
plus.
basically, it just seems like this. You had that lunar collapse. You had the Celsius, which were platforms that were doing. They were paying, like you could stake your tokens and get, crazy interest rates. And what I think might have happened is I think that there was basically the thing that was shoving the market so high, because typically it would have only went to 44, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was so much leverage that was going on in the crypto market because it's not regulated. It was able to fly through to 64. And that now the collapse is the deleveraging, which made it go up so high, which made the collapse become so much harder.
Right.
But ultimately, everything still kind of follows the ladder. Now, ultimately, if you think about where it could potentially go, I guess it could technically go down to 4,000 and reset from there. But is it going to get there? That's what I don't really believe that it is.
I mean, but the old low was 3,000, so it would seem extremely unlikely.
See, it's only halfway there. So if it has to go up over 100,000 to come back to 40,000, would be the new low once it crosses over 100.
So what is your prediction for Bitcoin?
I think it's going to bobble around for right now. Right now the current bump off of 17 is a stopping point. 17,000 is a stopping point. I think right now it's going to go back up to so it should go back up. You got 24, 20, maybe 32 could be high from here, and then probably come back down. It will probably bounce off of 17 probably 2 to 3 times. Could go to 15 and 12, but I think it's going to hover in that realm. Can it go down? It can, but I just don't think it's going to go down because it's already run the trend from the trend in the beginning from 19,000 down to 4,000 was the 4,000 dip. So this dip should be somewhere around 17, 15, maybe 12 as the low. But I don't really see it going down below 10. I just think everybody's going to scoop it up. Right now, this is the transition from retail hands to banks and institutional money. So that's what's happening right now.
Well, the institutional investors love a dip, so they're going to want to be buying in at this point.
And they're not going to risk losing after it crosses. Once it gets to 12, no one's going to risk not buying because I think it's going to be a long wick. It's going to be a skinny wick that very few people are going to get.
Yeah.
And then that's going to be probably the end of that low. Then it might hobble sideways, but I don't think that low will probably come again.
Now, are you a believer in the $100,000 Bitcoin?
The next run to me is going to be about 220. That's the way the ladder works.
Ooh, saltiness. $220.
220,000.
Oh, that's a different number. No, I'm kidding. $220,000. I see. That seems so foreign to me. I believe you because you keep being right, and it terrifies the crap out of me. And I've always been a believer in the $100,000 Bitcoin, but it's crazy because you've shown me the math on how it gets to 220, and it's hard to argue with it. It's also hard to envision it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's 190 is like 19. Look at the previous high. That previous high is where I would tell you like 19 to 22 is going to be your high. Go all the way back to the lowest right there. That's where I would have told you 19,000 to 22,000 would be your high. Now go to where your high's at on that wick. No, back down there.
That wick.
The very high on that wick.
Yeah, the very high, right up there.
Gotcha.
That's where I would have told you that 22,000 would be your high. So it ended up hitting like 19.
So it didn't quite get there.
19 and 22.
But it was following the pattern.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's usually the high right there. And then the reset is 4. I would have told you the reset is going to be 4,000 right there. So then drop down to the dip, 3,800.
Yeah, no, you've called all of this all the way through this whole thing. I haven't listened because I'm arrogant and stupid, but I definitely give due where due is deserved, and you've basically been all over this. Now, have you been investing throughout all of this on your own advice?
Yeah. Well, sometimes you do, but sometimes emotions would get a hold of you,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean? It's just like,
Are you buying now?
yeah, I just bought.
Okay,
some
you did.
more.
And
Yeah.
think, now, Tyler, are you buying now?
And
I
I'll,
did this past weekend.
Now, what do you think about all this?
So I mean, I've been around Bitcoin since it was less than $100, and I sold way too early, I think. So I'm
Didn't
trying
we
to
all?
recover. I mean, I bought my first Bitcoin at $80, which I'd have a hell of a return right now.
now I have to be
This-
honest. I didn't buy Bitcoin.
Oh, no.
I bought Avalanche and Solana.
See, I've been buying Bitcoin.
Now
Through all
I'll
this.
sell them when Bitcoin hits, like once it hits my target, like once 20, like I'm feeling this rebound right here is going to go risk on 24, 29, 32. So risk gets higher as that starts to go up. But I think it might go back to about 32 on this rebound, and then it's going to pull back down again. There'll be
Any
another.
idea on time frame on the rebound?
Well, we look at how long. This is probably, I think it's going to take a couple weeks to go back up.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a slow mover because it's 24-hour market.
Yep.
So
Interesting. So, well, we're running out of time on the first half here. When we come back after the break, what I really want to talk about is I want to move away from Bitcoin and start getting into some of these other altcoins, what they're doing, because they're not all tracking Bitcoin, which, you know, for a long time there, they all kind of tracked each other, but now they're all seem to be flying in different directions. They all have their own gravitational pull. Ethereum is one I really want to talk about, because Ethereum's future is a little squirrely and a little different from some of the other coins. I also want to talk about Solana and some of the other ones that you're looking at, and kind of dig into this stuff. So let's take a quick break here, and then we'll bounce back and pick Jimmy's brain and see how else we can all make some money together. Thanks, buddy. See you guys in a bit.
I'm glad you have a doodles, because I was trying to find an example of like a ladder.
Let's have him show the fine folks who listen to the smartest podcast on the entire internet, and then also the ones that listen to ours.
To ours, yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead. So I want to get into this. Go ahead. You do your thing first. If we got time for mine, that's fine. But what you've got going on here is exciting.
Well, this is my list of all the tokens that I watch, and most of these I have. There's other ones here that I want to add, but so you wanted to take kind of a look at ETH, right?
ETH I want to focus on because they're going through the scope of work to scope of stake transition, and I'm fascinated by how this is going to play out. And I own both ETH and ETH 2.0, so I'm in both. I've got it staked. I've got miners mining it. I've got it sitting in cold storage. I've got ETH at every level of ETHdom, if that's a thing. And I'm curious to see what your thoughts are, and also see what your analysis says, and see where you think this is going.
Well, let's be honest. Just look at the chart. How many times do you see this without this?
Jimmy, can you switch screens?
And that's a hard drop.
Shit, sorry.
No, you're
Okay,
good.
there
You're
we
good.
go. So how many times do you see this without this?
You don't.
You know what I mean? Look at it. Here, up, here, up. This is, you can't be afraid to buy now. If you're afraid to buy now, you'll never, ever buy. And what will happen is you'll buy here and
Right.
you lose. Like you buy, put it this way, we do the opposite of what the news says, right? If they're running, like, especially right now, because now they're talking about, now everybody's getting afraid. Now all of even the crypto followers
Can you
are
flip
talking
over real quick to
negatively.
the first tab?
Tab,
So this is something I want to bring up. The first tab, yeah.
fear and greed index.
So this is something, I'm glad Jimmy brought this up. And any of you out there that are interested in this is something I check fairly regularly. But the fear greed index is relevance. I think the lowest this index has ever been is a 6. I don't think it's ever dropped below 6. Yesterday it was at a 9. Today it's an 11. So the fear is starting to ease up a little bit, but 11 is still extreme fear. I mean, people are terrified, not just of cryptos, but across the entire investing realm of what is happening. I mean, it looks red and it looks bad. I always see that as a prime opportunity to buy.
It's like flip-flop the colors. Right?
Yes.
Because the colors are used to sort of like mess with your head. Like if you actually changed all your colors, this should be green.
Yeah.
Time to buy,
If there was extreme confidence and greed, I'd want to sell because I'm like,
Yeah.
like,
But when it's over here, it was like, the world's on fire.
yeah, I always get
This is
excited.
awesome.
I get ramped up in it. I know. I hear you.
Yeah.
But that's one. If anybody, it's just cryptofeargreed.com or cryptofeargreed.io. Either one, both get you to places. But this is a good one to see what's the mentality right now, and you'll see that the two we're talking about are the two they got tracking right there. They've got Bitcoin and Ethereum. Which do you think is a better buy right now, Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Well, I mean, I just like, the reason I like ETH and altcoins is just because the moves are going to be bigger. I mean, Bitcoin is stable. It's the new gold, right?
Yep.
Or that's the race to be the new gold. So I think people are going to, I think institutions and the banks are going to go for, if you were going to set up a portfolio, I think Bitcoin's going to be the main holdings. ETH will be the second main holdings.
Okay.
And then they'll scatter a handful of alts through that, because no one's going to really know which alts are going to come out on top.
But you still believe in ETH. You still think ETH has value.
I do. I mean, ETH is really dragging its feet with getting this whole ETH2
Yeah, they are.
thing figured out. But the whole thing is, all of these other tokens are built on Ethereum's platform. So how does ETH go away?
Well, the only thing I worry about is ETH dies, as we've seen it happen with other altcoins before, where the parent coin dies off as the child coins become the relevant coin. And ETH stays relevant, but it flatlines and just never grows.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's going to happen to Ethereum because it is involved in so much from a transactional standpoint and from a cryptographic standpoint, just from what it does for the blockchain. But
if people are watching and they don't know what it is, like Ethereum is essentially, Bitcoin is like just, it was the experiment. It's the gold of blockchain. ETH was where contracts actually came into play,
which is
where you could say, hey, I could actually use the blockchain to sell this thing to this guy, and it would be recorded digitally forever.
Well,
and,
I think pretty much every NFT is based on Ethereum in some way, right?
Yeah, everything is, ETH, everything is on ETH. There's no other necessary, Bitcoin is its own blockchain, and then Ethereum is a blockchain, and then most of these other tokens are built on Ethereum. So you have layer ones, which are, like Solana and Matic, and these layer ones Cardano's another one. So these layer ones then have projects underneath them, because Ethereum, it's like Linux. This will help you understand, I think, Tyler, if you don't get this.
Your simple, tiny mind.
Right?
You don't grasp it.
It's like Linux. It's forks off of Linux, right?
Yeah.
And they started rebuilding. It's the same concept, exact same concept. So some of the platforms work faster. They figured out better code. And
some are more secure.
they're more secure. Yeah. They're better. And speed is the thing, because speed is how many transactions can you do, because we want to be able to take over, like a Visa, which I don't know the numbers on transactions that Visa does, but Solana is actually doing more transactions per second than Visa MasterCard.
Really?
Yeah.
It's that fast.
If I'm not, yeah, Solana is like super fast, super like
Get it.
have just taken it by storm. I
don't
could
know any
research it.
Solana.
So transactions on Solana per second here if we do this.
And Solana's Ethereum based, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So you have to have ETH
No. You can buy Solana.
to buy,
it's
but to
just-
transfer it.
No. It just uses the Ethereum
Blockchain.
the Ethereum blockchain to record its transactions, but it runs
It
independently.
runs independent.
It's just they share a blockchain.
So yeah, it's always been and I always had a little bit of ETH, and then I bought Gollum, which was stupid.
So how does it work with Linux, right? So you have the original Linux platform, and then you have these other platforms that went off. So let's take it to a tech. Help me understand.
No, it's very similar because a lot of them share
How?
the same base code, but they do a
they're
different
very
variation
different,
on it.
yeah.
Maybe one of them, one of them might focus on user interface. One of them might focus specifically on running certain types of applications, like database type applications. Some of them might focus on running like voice over IP type applications, and they'll reutilize hardware resources and everything differently, and take away some stuff to give to other stuff to customize it for the specific purpose. And it's very similar. You're right. It's a great analogy. I had never really thought of it that way, but it's very similar to the way
Like Linux, open
Linux,
source, just
yeah.
open source in general.
open source in general. You're right.
Yeah.
Like open source has always kind of been that way. Right? Take something, make it a little bit better, call it something else. But it's still the same thing. It's just a little bit better.
Okay, so I'm going to do one more. We're going to go to ETH transactions per second.
They are not great. Oh, Bitcoin. I don't know if you looked up Bitcoin, but they're like
Well,
negative.
Bitcoin
3.
is horrendously slow.
Well, and if the Lightning Network ever hits
Okay.
the market, that could fix some
Wasn't
of
that
that.
supposed to happen years ago?
That was supposed to happen like 2019.
All right, so
Oh,
this,
yeah.
so we do this. This is the race, right? The race is the transactions per second, because this is the technology that's going to take over our banking system and our means of handling.
Well,
When?
maybe.
Because I feel
Well,
like
this
there's
is
a lot
where
of-
the goal is, right?
This is the goal.
the
right?
goal of blockchain.
And you still got the governments fighting you. You still got the legacy.
got a lot of
financial-
legacy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of hurdles to jump. It was giving.
Is it telling us?
Just click up there in the search, and start space. Click there,
Yeah.
space, per. There it is. Click on the
Oh,
first.
sorry.
There you go.
Okay.
So 3 to 7 within 10 minutes.
Okay. So now we go to ETH. ETH advanced it, 30 transactions per second.
Okay.
Okay. Now we go to what everybody's trying to reach. Visa, 1,700 transactions per second. And Solana, 2,700 transactions per second. So Solana's blockchain is capable of handling what they want to do. Now, Solana's blockchain has been crashing. There's been some problems with it, so we can't obviously have that happening. But you can see that the blockchain,
Can you look up one more?
yeah.
Bitcoin Lightning Network transactions per second. Not. Yeah, that's fine.
It's not coming up yet. There it is. Okay, Lightning.
Like
Yeah,
fifth
I
one
think
down.
it's just Lightning Network.
I just want to
not-
see where they're.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the one that's hopefully coming out 2-3 years ago. Hopefully, fingers
1 million
crossed. 2-3 years
transactions
ago,
per
that'll come
second.
out.
And this to me is a one I got to add to my list, because
Well, that's a
I
game
haven't-
changer. And they're
Yeah.
not going to fork Bitcoin to do that either, I don't think. I think they're just going to.
I
just
think
be an
Lightning
update.
Network is just its own,
Yeah, it's its own thing
project
that's
now.
going to just speed
but
up
it's
the.
running on the Bitcoin blockchain.
Yes.
Right.
So now it'll be purely transactional. Won't be able to handle the NFT stuff because Bitcoin's blockchain can't. But you can absolutely run transactional data on it.
Right. So this could be an ETH killer.
That could be an ETH
because Solana is not. I mean, this is a whole nother level.
And there's a reason why there's been so many problems with it, is because it is a insane goal, but I think it is an achievable goal from what I've read from how they're coding it. What are you looking at?
I thought, because I have a lot of Litecoin.
So if anybody's not watching this, if they're just listening, what we're
So
looking
Litecoin
at
is
is
not
1
Lightning
million
Network.
transactions per
What's that?
second on the
Litecoin is
Bitcoin
not
Lightning Network.
Lightning Network.
It can be. They did an update a couple years ago.
And it
They're
can be.
capable of
They're capable, yeah.
capable of it. It's but
Okay.
Bitcoin, because it's a blockchain altcoin.
Yeah, now the light, did I just blow a light bulb?
You just blew a light bulb. Yeah.
Fantastic. I hated that light bulb anyway.
So we jumped a little bit of ship in the conversation. We're not.
Well, no, but it's a
sticking
good
to,
conversation to have. I think people watching are going to get value out of that. So this is, and you're right. I agree with your assessment 100%. The real value here is how fast can we transact data? You know, how quickly can we? Now, Visa's a little bit of a lie. That 2,700 transactions or 1,700 transactions per second, that's not on the total Visa network. Visa network's noted out. So I don't know, 150 million transactions per day. There's no way you get there from 1,700. You can, I mean, I guess you do, but
well, per second.
Yeah,
That's a lot of
transactions. But Visa network also nodes their network, so
But-
they're not running a single network. They're running multiple networks, constantly,
And
then
Visa's
sharing
never
data
down.
between the
Like
networks.
Visa doesn't really drop down. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that because you know what? I was just at Claibor's the other week, and they were having a problem with their system.
Node,
They couldn't
nodes
take
go
credit
down.
cards.
Nodes
That's
go
why
down.
they isolate.
Yeah, but Visa wouldn't be down internationally. It would just be that maybe that node's down or whatever. I will say we just hired our first employee where we pay them Bitcoin.
Did you?
Yes, I did. I actually, what is it? It's June 22nd. July 1st, we have to make our first payment to them from payroll in Bitcoin. So this is becoming a much more accepted thing for a lot of people. And he was very happy when I told him it will pay in Bitcoin. He goes, fantastic. He's like, that's excellent. He's like, I'm excited. Here's my wallet ID. And I was
Where's he
like,
from?
El Salvador.
Well, that's perfect.
I know,
Yeah,
it's the Bitcoin
it's,
coast.
yep.
So he said we have two official currencies. We have the US dollar and Bitcoin. And he said, and I'll absolutely take Bitcoin. So he's very excited, but you're seeing more and more of this adoption happening where people are like, yeah, I'll take Bitcoin. And right now, he's a little nervous about the price of Bitcoin. I had a conversation with him this morning, and I said, you should be excited. I said, 6 months ago, I would have told you convert it all to dollar. Because I don't know what's going to happen. Right now, I would probably say try to keep some in Bitcoin. Just take out what you need to live and leave the rest of it in your wallet because, you're going to get more Bitcoin from me as payment than you would have 6 months ago.
So do you put a numerical amount to that? Like not so many Bitcoin, but
the
so
contract
much?
the contract was signed in US dollars, paid in Bitcoin.
Right.
So he gets less Bitcoin when the price is up. He gets more Bitcoin when the price is down, but it has to equate to US
That's
dollars.
great. That's great.
So that's what I told him. I don't know if he's bought in yet because he's got kids and everything. He got some money.
Well, yeah. If it
But-
continues to tank, and then
But I was like-
I
Even if you can take 10% and just leave it as Bitcoin,
Leave it there, yeah.
you could have a really big windfall here.
yeah, and the problem is it's not stable. So at any point in time, it's the price of it is variable.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So I can understand when you're raising a family on Bitcoin. I guess that's a problem. But I mean, that means what happens though in El Salvador? I mean, it's like if they're pricing goods in Bitcoin, well, then it is what it is. He's not even experiencing.
Well, they price goods and they still price goods in the
price
US,
goods, okay.
US dollar. And then
Okay.
you can pay for it in Bitcoin.
Okay.
So Bitcoin's an official currency, but nobody's saying it's one Bitcoin for this because it's unstable.
Mm-hmm.
What they're saying is it's $20,000 for this. And if you want to give us a Bitcoin, that's perfectly
Okay,
fine.
but then
what they did is they built a network in El Salvador where you can easily convert Bitcoin to dollar to Bitcoin through their banks.
Yeah.
But
So-
if he's getting paid how often you pay him? Every
Monthly.
2 weeks? Monthly?
He gets
Okay,
paid
so
once a month.
so basically he's dollar cost averaging every month.
Yes.
And so literally it's almost stabilized.
Jimmy's so smart, but he hides it so
He
well.
does, yeah.
It's so frustrating. Like sometimes I watch him talk and I'm like, God, this guy's a genius. And then sometimes I watch him talk and I'm like, he's on the spectrum. And I'm like, what is happening here?
Which, I mean, could realistically be one and the same.
Well, there's Jimmy and there's James.
I mean, but you're not drunk enough to be James yet. You're clearly still Jimmy.
No, I mean I know a little bit more about this topic, so sometimes you guys bring me in here and I don't know about the topic. So.
Yeah, you're always smart. It's like busting your chops. Just makes me feel happy. Something about destroying your ego brings joy to my simple life. I don't know what that is.
I don't mind having you destroy my ego.
I'm 100% sure I could not destroy your ego. If I could, you wouldn't be on this podcast. It would not end well. You'd throw something at me and leave.
So he's in an awesome situation, to be quite honest.
I think so too. And I think that's kind of the story we're trying to tell here to a lot of people is without giving advice. we all might be in an awesome situation. I mean, look, I'm a firm believer. Any downturn is a prime opportunity for something. You just got to find the opportunity. I really think this is the opportunity. I know you said gold's ready for a breakthrough. I don't think gold's the opportunity. I think gold's the cautious man's opportunity. I think I bonds are the cautious man's opportunity. You get 10% on an I bond right now. If you're in retirement, heck yeah, throw $10,000 in an I bond and take your 10%.
Yeah.
Like, because you're trying to protect your wealth. I get that. But if you're under the age of 55 right now and you've got any money at all and you're not at least looking at this as a viable option, I'm confused as to what your strategy is in life from a financial standpoint.
Well, look at this. Just for based on what I told you. See this right here,
And we're seeing it again.
Now we're looking at this on a month, right? But
Right.
if I come down to a week, right?
Yeah.
You know, this is what I'm showing you in gold,
No, and I get it. I get it.
and this is just a setup. This is a basic setup, and when it comes to
The problem with gold is I don't want to
this,
buy.
look at this wing here. Okay, this wing right here, 1, 2. This is like a breakthrough, right? This is what happens when you're looking at charts or looking at formation. This is very common to see something bust up.
See, I don't know. See, I've got wing, drop.
No, you got wing, low, low, low. You got wing. Like these two high points right here are very relevant.
Is the word wing funny?
With this
Can you
peak,
say it a lot?
these two peaks right
Is
here
it
are
because
relevant.
he's oversaying
It's
it?
like road.
'Cause
Road.
I never thought the word wing was funny until he said it
He's
like
just
6
saying
times.
Wing,
And now
wing.
I feel like saying something
This like
inappropriate,
swoop
and
right
it's
here.
making me giggle.
This swoop right here.
Yeah.
I've seen it so many times, and I've seen it. You know, like how it. This is very characteristics of a bull run.
All right, Tyler, you want to go ahead and have these on a giant gold bar? I'm thinking like
It's just a big one.
a gold bar, like something
You know,
like you got to hold it 2 arms.
Here's
Put it
here's
across
a
your forearms. They got to carry it around. Like, yeah.
like here
Halvesies.
is a, here's a
Like, you can
similar.
flip the whole bill. Like, we'll go halvesies.
You know, here's another similar scenario. This is it. It's like this is the shape.
Wing up.
This
All
wing
right.
here. Okay.
God damn it, he's right.
Right? And this is just very common. You know, when this thing comes back here a third time, you know, this as this starts to tighten up, this chart, these candles start to tighten up there.
Well,
That's-
it makes sense because inflation, gold is the standard.
Well,
the U.S. dollar is what's getting inflated, so it should take more dollars to buy the same amount of gold as a static quantity.
and the governments are loading up on gold. That's the thing. So you've got, you know, China and everybody's loading
I know,
up gold.
buy some gold, Jimmy. Jesus,
Well,
you're hard to sell.
I'm not telling you to buy gold. I'm just
I
simply
feel like you're telling me to
showing
buy
you
some
something.
gold. Like you keep bringing it back to gold.
I'm just showing you something.
Look,
I think this dip in Bitcoin is going to rebound and then it's going to dip back down. Gold's probably going to make its run. This is where, you know, this would be the run for gold somewhere around here. This would be the conservative run.
See, I do believe in $3,000 gold. So
Okay, this 32 is a conservative stretch, but to complete this ladder, this 4,400 is completion of this ladder. If there's some crazy event like Bitcoin, it blasts through 50, 54 becomes, you know, a key indicator, and anything above that just starts becoming irrational.
I gotta buy some.
So even the fact that Bitcoin went to 64 was irrational.
See, now when you buy gold, is there like, because I buy physical stuff. Like I buy, when it comes to precious metals, I buy the precious metals. I have it shipped to my house. I dig a hole in my yard. I draw a map. I put it in like a chest, some sort of like you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, and then I kill everybody that's on me. And that's how I do it. Like a pirate. Is that what you're doing, or are you buying like IRAs and stuff like that?
I'm absolutely pirating at it.
Oh, so you're killing everybody too. So
No.
I get it.
I don't buy physical gold, dude. I don't have physical gold. I mean, I'm just talking trading here on the market. But obviously,
Okay,
this
so you're
gold
buying
is
like
just paper gold.
funds.
Well, if I was going to buy gold, I'd buy this because I'm going to just sell it out.
Well, what is that?
And,
What are you looking
and
at?
I'm not going to wait for the gold to ship and then try to find a buyer to buy my gold. I'm just going to buy it here.
Well, what is this CFDs
sell
on
it out.
gold? I've never heard of this.
Well, this is just like a gold. This is just something to monitor gold.
So, is there a gold like index fund you
Well,
can
this,
buy? Or like,
well, yeah,
'cause
there's.
I buy physical.
I mean, there's
gold.
different gold. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you can buy gold funds. You can. There's different funds you can buy that are like linked to gold. But
Okay.
then obviously, if those collapse or whatever, if the power goes off, you don't have the gold. So that's.
Well,
you
I
know,
mean,
this is fool's gold, right?
Look, 90% of my
They trick people into thinking.
99% of my portfolio is digital. Like if the power goes off, you know, I'm running to Tyler's house and hoping he takes me in. Like that's really what it is because he knows how to build a fire. Like, it's gonna get weird real quick for me. So
This wing right here, I've seen this thing so many times. Looking at stocks.
interesting. He's really selling this.
Yeah, kind of.
All right,
I didn't think we were gonna go gold on this podcast.
Well, I didn't mean to. I'm
Like,
just.
It's gonna be
I
crypto,
just
but-
like I've been looking at it and it's there.
No, I look at gold every day, every single day, and I
So-
even have my gold supplier, like my company I buy from. They're in Maryland. They're amazing. I'm not going to say their name unless they sponsor us, so get to it. Yeah, no, I've been watching it every day too, and it definitely
Well,
seems like it's prime.
okay.
for
So
something.
you said you wanted to look at ETH, right?
Yes.
So okay, so let's go back to ETH. Okay, let's go back here and look at this particular move.
He's a lot better at that than
Yeah, way better.
you. He's better than me too. Like,
I
I'm
mean,
not judging
look
you.
at this right here. This is kind of that similar wing.
I'm not seeing it there. Like
Right
there,
here.
it looks like it's flat to me.
This right here, this wing right here.
Oh yeah, I see the swing. Yeah,
Okay.
okay, gotcha.
This is this move.
The swoop.
Here's the swoop here.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, is there a swoop we're in right now?
Well, gold was in the swoop.
Gold's in the swoop.
So
Okay.
Bitcoin and ETH obviously are here, but these rebounds are sort of inevitable. I mean, put it this way: if you think it's going to collapse, then I guess
I don't
that's
think
where
it's
you're
gonna
at.
collapse.
I
No,
just
I
don't, I don't
believe-
think it's collapsing.
I also, just like I believe in the $100,000 Bitcoin, I believe in the $10,000 Ethereum. I just, it's been a fun ride for me as a heavy owner of Ethereum to watch this happen, and I was curious to hear what you have to say, and I like what you're saying. I do. Like everything you're saying is good, and it tracks with what I believe. But you're better at this analysis than I am. Like you've got a lot more hard skills.
You know, these
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
never they never like the thing is everybody looks back like you try to find these repeating shapes or whatever. It's like nothing ever. And I'll tell you what I watched one time. I watched a whale. I watched a dude that recorded a video and he was buying with millions of dollars. And as a matter of fact, he did it with AMP. I don't think I have AMP on. Yeah, I do have it on here. Okay, so I watched a guy literally make a chart pattern. He did this. One buyer.
What?
One buyer did this, right? He made this thing go up and he sold. Okay? He made this entire thing right here. So we were here and I watched the video and he's like, watch, I'll show you whale activity. He bought and he sold and he created this entire wave from here up and down in the effort to try to get momentum.
Is that what Elon's doing with Doge?
Because he knew that by seeing this pattern, it would lure. He thought by seeing this pattern lures people in. So now you can look at volume and things that are happening, you know, and you can tell, okay, what volume is trading here, what happened here, you know what I mean? Like, so it's not always like necessarily, I bought when he bought and then I sold right away. So I made a little money on it, but it just kind of tumbled back down. And then,
$9
and then he was complaining because they didn't take the bait. No one took the bait, you know.
So he's being a little bitch.
Well, he was just testing it to see what would happen. But this right here is very good indicator of where this could potentially go at some point. I just can tell you these wicks always end up being new highs.
Interesting.
Now, what does that mean? You know, I mean, I can just go back and show you many times.
Or it could be a dead coin.
Well, the thing, it starts off with that crazy wick. I've never seen that. I always see that wick recaptured. I'm not saying to buy this. I'm just saying it's just something I've noticed.
Why not buy it? I mean,
Now, the reason you don't see
isn't
this,
it less than a penny?
the reason you don't notice this in the stock market is because they split, right? So in the stock
Okay.
market splits, like Amazon split at like 3,400, which was, what was Amazon's top? I can't even show you now because
It's now it's 20 to 1 and it's
Right.
down at like $200 a
Right,
share.
but
Yep.
even on the split, it comes back down to the ladder, right? So,
Yep.
so if I go
I
and
do
look
love
at
buying
Amazon,
splits, by the way.
so if I go look at Amazon, okay, and I would have told you that, so this 84 is a pretty key location. Now, typically, because you don't typically see things bust through the 50 mark extremely crazy, but these 84s on second runs become like high peaks. So even if I go back and I dissect Amazon, I could show you the ladder even after the split. So the split doesn't even do anything. It just, if it was $1,000,
they always refigure the ladder,
Yeah,
or the
it just
transactions
happens.
based on the price. Yeah,
10 to 1,
Yep.
20 to 1. So it just reduces the ladder, but then you can't see it. So like here, 101, there was what I would say your top typically is 119, 120. And then your bottom comes down like 50 to 72, 77 is your reset right there. So now that'll blast up.
he's like, goddamn.
Here comes
Jesus.
here's the swoop, right?
Here's the swoop.
It's the swoop, man.
Like all I know is I'm gonna go buy some gold. Like as soon as we get off this recording, like I'm gonna go buy some gold. My wife's gonna yell at me. She'll be like, "Why do you spend this money on?" I'll be like, nothing. Hats. Leave me alone. Because if she finds out I bought some gold, then I'd kill her too. And I like my wife, but she can't know I buried it in the yard. There's rules to this stuff.
So what I noticed, like there are some things that are just, they rise at a slower rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like
me.
Amazon, you would think, what's that?
Bump? No, maybe.
Yeah.
I get there.
So look here, 7 and 2 stopping station. This is a 7-2. 107, 102 is a stop.
Okay.
Boing. So you can see I could point out 7 and 2. I could point out 77 and 72 many times.
So where's that going?
Well, we don't want to get into Amazon right now. Let's see.
Oh, okay.
Do we?
I don't know.
All right. You want me
We
to?
got a minute 18, so get in whatever you
you're
want.
leading the charge,
At
man.
this point, you're running the
Well,
show. Like I don't know
we're
what's
off-
happening.
We're off
Like,
crypto, so I shouldn't have. I just jumped out.
You
I
just
don't want to
took
dive.
us into crazy town.
So I'm going to go back to crypto just because it's not a technical analysis show. But why don't you guys? Okay, so I said I bought AVAX. Okay, now I bought. What I've noticed about all the altcoins is all of the altcoins have gotten pretty low to like the stopping stations, and they seem to have reached stops, and they're well below. See, Bitcoin is only touching its previous high peak like at this point, but a lot of the altcoins are already down and bottomed, Now, some of these coins were not listed on TradingView when they initially started, so you only get, the second half. Bake is an old coin. But let's see, I talked about Solana too.
Mm-hmm.
So Solana is, okay, so you can see Solana has come down now, and it's met its previous high. So Bitcoin seems to be lagging on the drop. And so through this event, everybody was waiting for this altcoin bull run, and it never came. Like we had this metaverse and gaming sort of explosion. I just having this feeling, my feeling is I think the alts are like kind of the next on the horizon.
So we're out of time here. So let me ask you this one final question before we break. If you had $1,000 right now and it had to be invested in crypto, what would you buy?
Well, I just bought AVAX and Solana, and I'm going to hold them short term, but I like the layer one stuff because I like that. This is a list of crypto that I really like. Okay. I like Super Farm because that's gaming, and these guys are really intense in gaming. And these guys are,
So they're below their low.
these are the dudes that are involved in Neo Tokyo. This is Elliot.
Now what's going on with that? That ladder doesn't seem to make sense.
Well, okay, the reason this ladder doesn't make sense is because it came out and it went up. Okay, and there's your 44.
Okay.
Okay, and now when it goes up right away, that puts 2 in play. on the ladder. So if I said it went to 40, you see the $4.40, I would have said $4.40 is your high.
Okay.
Okay. But because it started and it didn't go up and it never dropped down, that means instead of 40 cents being the low, 20 cents is your low.
What's that now?
And it's just characteristics. It's 13 cents. Okay, so it's down in here. So this is why I say this has now reached the bottom of the ladder. Okay, now I can do this a handful of times real quick. I can show you Solano. Okay, so Solana went up. Solana did, okay, let me see. Solana exploded. I would have said 1922 being your top. Okay, there's 22. Okay, so I would have said that was your top. Now the reset is 40. Okay, came out, went up, puts 20 in play. Okay, so we're at 34. I think this is going to rebound short term. I'm looking for off of this. I'm probably going to go, I'm looking at, probably 52 will be the high. It could go 52, 54, but I'll probably just get rid of it 52, and I'm going to look to get back in down around 20.
So you'd buy Solano right now?
Yeah, you can buy Solano. I got AVAX. I think SHIB is a
But
good
at
one,
50
too.
cents, you might want to dump it.
Well, it's going to come back down. You can buy, and it depends. Are you going to day trade, or are you just looking for good projects to hold? I mean, there's some
Gotcha.
things going on with Solana, but I also believe that the news is what they use to make the ladder run. Okay, so everything's great. Up, bad news starts coming out. We're topped out, right?
Okay.
We're topped out. We're over 220. We're topped out. We need bad news. Get the bad news in. We got to get the price back down. Now, bad news. Make it worse. We got to get people afraid. We got to get them out, right? And because they know we're going to 40 once up here, just like when Bitcoin was at 60 and I said it's going to 19.
Yeah.
They know it's going there, and I just know where these numbers are at. So
Interesting.
let's say Rune. Okay.
All right, well, you know what? I'm going to buy some Solano. Not a ton,
Rune.
just some from Play Solano.
Yeah.
Just to have some fun with him. And if it goes up, I'm going to buy him a steak dinner, assuming there's enough that I make off of it to get that. And if it goes down, what do I get? Like if I lose all my money.
I don't know. You tell me.
I got it.
Should I buy a Lamborghini?
Yes. Steak dinner versus Lamborghini sold. I'm never going to get that Lamborghini. Why did I shake on that? It's never going to happen. That's bull
I'm
crap.
getting you a Lamborghini,
That's-
dude.
Really? Either he's
I
super.
want you to have a Lamborghini.
I kind of want a Lamborghini.
You seem like a guy that would enjoy.
Oh
a
no,
Lamborghini.
yeah, bald fat guys fit fantastically in Lamborghinis. That's what they're made for. Like you see a lot of Italian bald fat guys stepping
Take you
out
for a
of
ride in a Lamborghini.
lift that door up, heave your bulk out.
What if I get you a ride in a Lamborghini? Would that be good?
You know what? Can I drive?
Probably. Maybe.
Then yes.
Okay.
If you let me drive a Lamborghini, that is perfectly acceptable, and I'll get you a low to mid grade steak. No, I'll get you a great steak.
Dollar
right.
Tree steak.
Look at Rune 22 to close the show.
I never looked at Rune.
Yeah.
So you think it's going back up to 22?
22. Well, I would have told you 4.
What's that?
Hit here. It's at 2. 2's in play. Have to evaluate why. But
There's a lot of buying opportunities out there right now. It's just
Rune came in, went up. 2 in play. Sand.
well, that just looks like Everest.
Sand fell short. Sand.
But that's a quick uptick.
Here's the top for sand. Now this is a typical top.
Okay.
This is an unrushed top.
Okay.
Okay. But still came down pretty hard. I think sometimes it's the timing in the market. Like this went a little crazy really quickly. Snoop Dogg and all those dudes got involved.
Yeah. We gotta wrap this thing up. So, well, Shiba's always going to look at it. Shibu.
So I got a lot of that one.
Do you?
Yeah, like 500,000. Sheep in you?
What's it trading at right now?
See,
Like-
look at Sheeb 84. That's typically a pretty good, decent height. Look at that. Remember when I told you?
Yeah. Interesting.
Now it's at. It's
Needs
down to
12,000 of them to get a
It's
penny.
down to the 2,
Mm-hmm.
or it's under. I don't know what it's at.
That's it.
I'm talking too quick now. I don't want to seem foolish.
No, we got to wrap this up too.
Yeah.
Tyler, what are you thinking? Where's your head's at? Give me your final thoughts.
I mean, I'm just gonna keep buying. I started buying crypto again, so I'm just gonna keep at it as it's low. I like to buy when it's low.
I like buying
So-
Bitcoin, but
It's a Bitcoin, yeah.
He's selling me on buying some other stuff.
I think I might
I think you need a
start
portfolio.
researching again.
Well, I have other stuff. I have Doge, I have Cardano, I have Solana.
I really like Matic.
Matic. You've been talking about Matic a lot. Real quick, before we wrap up, the last thing. Let's look at Matic.
Matic is in the gaming realm, and it's a layer one. So a lot of NFTs are being developed on Matic.
And you like the look of that transaction.
Look at us.
Yep.
So Matic 22. Here's your 22 high. Here's your 4.
So
40.
it's following the ladder. All right. Well, Matic and Solana seem like to be the number one tips for Jimmy. Tyler's tip is Golem. This is buy all you can.
Don't buy gold.
Tyler
I'd
lost
get out of that as fast as
all
I
his
can.
money. He had to sell a kid. He used to have multiple kids. Now he's got 2. So everyone, I hope you gleaned something from this. I know we were a little over the place. I apologize, but there was a lot of good info in here. Thank you for hanging in there with us while we worked our way through it. And as always, if you have any questions, put them in the comments. We'll get back to you. Thank you all. Thank you, Jimmy.
Take it easy.
Thank you, Steve. Later, taters.
The Broken Agenda Podcast. Sponsored by Laughing Rock Technology.